Hey everybody, welcome to the Social MBA. This is Franklin Rivera, your host, and let's get started. Hey everybody, this is Frank, and thank you for joining me for another episode of the Social MBA, where social and business meet. This is your host, Frank Rivera. I am flying solo today. I believe that my co-host, Megan Robinson, is probably catching up on some projects or spending some much-deserved time after this holiday weekend with family. So I am going to be flying solo, but this is something that I really want to talk about. I couldn't really wait any longer, and I want to get out there on the air. So it has to do with a recent post that I put on my blog at franklinrivera.com called The Necessary Evolution of Social Media. Okay? The necessary evolution of social media. So I want to talk about that because I think that it is something that needs to be heard, and it needs to be heard by both business owners and marketers out there, digital marketers. Because what has happened, and I'm just hearing it too much when I sit down with prospects, I'm just hearing it too much. Now, forgive me if I get a bit passionate, but I'm very passionate about this. And I do believe that it is that passion and the desire to make a difference that can actually help someone's business grow. Okay, so we are all in it to make money for our business. Let's get that out of the way. That's the bottom line. We have to make money to stay sustainable. However, your first goal in business or as a digital marketer should be to make a difference, and the money will come, okay? Flat out, that's it, make a difference. Because if you are not out to make a difference and you're just kind of flying with the rest of the flock, believe me, you are going to get lost. And nobody's going to notice you. You're not going to really have any value proposition, and no one's going to want to do business with you, okay? So you have to want to make a difference. And I think the lack of that, coupled with a lack of knowledge, is what has caused the digital marketing industry to become so flooded, whereas you have a lot of business owners that are just being taken advantage of. Okay, so let's just back up. Let's just start with this right now. I probably do need my co-host because she might be a little lighter and kind of joking around and make me laugh. But anyway, she'll be back on soon. Let's get it on. So I want to go back to the beginning because a lot of you may be saying, okay, so what makes Frank qualified? Now, I'm not saying I'm qualified. I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm not saying I'm a guru or pro or any of those words out there, but I do want to back up. And I want to back up into the late 1990s. That is when I started a company called Onyx Internet Marketing and Advertising. And it was in Central Florida in a town called Lakeland. And I went door to door. I was building websites the difficult way. You know, now they have the WordPress and all this other stuff. But I was building websites. I really saw that the internet was the way to go. I was just a technology nerd. So I went door to door, knocking on businesses saying, you need to be on the internet. You need to be on the internet. And I basically got laughed at. They're like, no, I don't. No, I don't. So anyway, needless to say, I closed the doors. Fast forward to 2011 when I first started this business, and I sat down with a business owner and said, okay, so you've never done any type of digital marketing, social media marketing, because that's what we were going to focus on. And what are your revenue goals? And I was looked at like, whoa, my revenue goal. Yeah, well, what are your revenue goals? Where can we grow your business? Okay, so let me just stop right there. Where can you grow your business? Because what is happening is the digital marketing space is becoming flooded. There are a lot of jobs out there. There are a lot of companies looking for a good digital marketer, a good social media marketer. However, you'll be surprised to hear this, many hiring managers are having a hard time finding good talent. And the reason is this. This was a study that was conducted by Moz. Now, if you're not familiar with Moz is sort of like the Cadillac, along with SEMrush and some others, of search engine optimization, search engine marketing, things like that. They do offer other tools as well. But Moz is kind of the authority, all right? I'll say that. They are the authority. And them, along with a company called Fractal, conducted a study, and it was they went through a bunch of Indeed job profiles, and they found that there's a lot of jobs for digital marketing. However, they found that hiring managers were having a hard time finding good talent, and the reason cited was that they found that there was a lack of business proficiency, creativity, and just general know-how about digital marketing. They did not know enough about all the different aspects of digital marketing. And that's what businesses want, okay? So what I'm going back to now is 2011 when that company looked at me and said, whoa, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, okay, let's talk about your menu. Let's talk about your takeout. Let's talk about your delivery. Let's talk about expanding your real estate, okay? So maybe that's the MBA in me talking, but I needed to make sure that if I was going to develop a plan, it needed to be for that aspect of his business that he was actually able to grow. Okay? So I could put together a plan that said, hey, you know what? We're going to focus on your takeout. So it was actually a sushi restaurant. It was in winter in Chicago. And we said, okay, let's look at everything. Let's look at your menu. Well, I really can't expand my menu. I have to hire a different chef. That's what he told me. I'm like, okay, so that's how. Expanding the restaurant. Well, there's a nail salon next door. I really can't do that. So real estate is a little bit limited. I'm actually limited on the percentage revenue that can come in from my liquor license. I never heard that. Okay, never heard that. But he was limited to a certain percentage of his overall revenue, gross revenue that come in from the sale of liquor. Whoa, that was a surprise. So I'm like, whoa, that doesn't really leave much. You have takeout and delivery. Delivery is actually going to incur some additional costs, insurance. You got a driver, you got tip, you got all this other stuff. Let's focus on takeout. So everything that we did, all the content created, all the geo-specific apps that were developed, everything was with the focus and the intent of getting people to come into the restaurant and take out orders, and it grew by 200%. Now, if I would have gone in there, as I'm seeing a lot of digital marketers do, and say, okay, what do we need to do? You want to grow your visibility? Great. I'll get that. Let me make a Facebook. Let me make a Twitter, LinkedIn. Let's blah, 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 blah. We're going to put out some great content, make some photos. Like, yeah, okay. So I'm like throwing spaghetti. Big deal. How do you know what most people in the establishment either want to pay for or what's going to offer him the biggest profit margin? So that's what the study is saying. What is happening is, I think a lot of digital marketers and social media saying, hey, you know what? I've lived my life. I grew up on social media. I know how to post. I know all the cool things that are happening. Or, hey, I'm a graphic artist. I can design. I can really put things together. I can put in the right colors, right fonts. I can do all of this. Or, you know what? I'm a writer. I'm a copywriter. I know how to write great content. I can get great content out there on social media and blah, 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 blah. But nobody knows jack about business. Nothing about business, and that's what companies are looking for. And I hear it all the time when I'm sitting with prospects. I have heard some horror stories. And what's happening is some businesses are starting to get disenchanted because they feel as if they've been taken advantage of so much by social media marketers and digital marketers out there to say, well, I'm just going to do it on my own. Or, you know what, I really don't trust anybody. So that is why it is important to have good business acumen. I mean, if you want to make a difference, I would challenge that I think a lot of people feel like they want to make a difference, but as long as the check is collected and they have increased followers or likes or whatever the hell it is that they're increasing, hey, I did my part. All right? I did my part. I drove traffic to your website. Hey, buddy, it's up to you to make sure that it converts. Okay? So the business owner is sitting there pointing their fingers going, hey, man, I hired you to grow my business, and yet I'm not converting, and you don't have anything to say, really. What are you going to say? Well, that's not my job. Well, guess what? If you want to provide something of value, then that should be your job. You should be able to look at that website, and you should be able to say, whoa, okay, what's the user experience? Let's look at this interface. How are people reacting with your content? What about some heat maps? What are people clicking on? Let me see. Where are people dropping off? Where are they dropping off in your website? Maybe your CTA is not in the right place. Call to action, CTA. Okay. Now, what have you done for that business owner? You have provided value. They look at you like, whoa, I didn't even think of that, dude, dudette. I didn't even think of that. So it's things like that that you need to understand. And that is why hiring managers are having such a hard time finding good talent. I understand you don't want to be a jack of all trades, but you need to know how all the pieces fit together. So that is the evolution of social media marketing, the evolution of digital marketing. It needs to evolve. Let's think about everything in our lives, okay? I'm sitting here, I'm recording a podcast on my laptop, okay? Years ago, actually, when I was in college, I'm kind of giving away my date. I did not get a computer till like my senior year, ready to graduate. Um, and let's see, then it came to like bag phones. Then you got these little cell phones, and everybody had desktop computers, right? And then it became, these big laptops. Now these things are so freaking small. Matter of fact, you can actually record a podcast on your phone. So everything evolves. Everything evolves. And those that don't evolve are going to get left behind. You have to evolve. All right. Now, there's a few things that I want to talk about. A few things that I think are important to address, and it really is addressing some things that I hear out there in the marketplace, because I don't want to be just ranting and raving about stuff, but I do want to bring up some things. I'm really hoping that this is um, valuable to business owners and marketers that might be listening to this. So, as I was going to say earlier, and I actually forgot to say earlier, is look, if you're not serious about growing your business, if you're not really serious about learning the right way to do digital marketing, having the right mindset, then this podcast isn't for you. Okay, it's just not for you. If you want to learn about, hey, how do I write email marketing subjects or email subject lines so my emails get open? How do I convert? How do I get more likes and followers on Twitter? What are the right filters to use on my Instagram? What about branding and colors and fonts and all this other stuff? Okay, and that stuff is cool and it's very valuable, but guess what? You can look that stuff up online. You can look it up online. You don't need to listen to me. But if you want to know how to tie business to digital marketing or social media, because social media is a subset of digital marketing, then this podcast is for you. If you are serious, okay? If you're not serious, hey, you know what? Just stop it. Go find some other fluffy type of stuff to listen to. Listen to that. But I am serious about wanting to help out businesses. And quite frankly, it just really upsets me when it's just too often. I ran into somebody who spent what is it, $9,000 over 3 months for public relations, and all they got was a rough draft. A rough draft. By that time, the money had started to run low, and they were pretty much disenchanted and say, hey, you know what? I'm either going to hire someone that's really dirt cheap, or I'm going to go on it on my own. Because they couldn't afford it anymore. They were burned. Okay? And I can share a lot more. Okay, so one of the questions, I recently did a session at for a college that was centered around veterans and military-owned businesses, businesses owned by veterans, and I was part of a social media panel. And I hear this a lot. I even hear this from current clients that I work with. They say, okay, so how do I measure ROI? What is the return on my marketing investment, or ROMI, ROMI, for, let's just say, social media? Because some things like pay-per-click, you can kind of measure the ROI of that, but social media seems so, I don't know, esoteric, so, not esoteric, is that the right word? Intangible. It's like, how do I measure this, okay? So if you ask your normal, I guess I'm abnormal, normal, social media marketer, how do you measure ROI? Some may give you a